Well, the situation in Germany, where I'm sitting at the moment, is case numbers are rising to new records. We also see that the number of people in hospital and intensive care units is also on the rise, but still far below the record levels we had seen there early this year. It's moving in the wrong direction, but it's not yet in any way a dire situation comparable to that we had in January.
Give us then the Economist's interpretation of what it means for consumption patterns, Holger.
Well, the big difference is, of course, relative to earlier waves, that we do have vaccines. This now affects this part of the pandemic, mostly the unvaccinated. And the restrictions that are being imposed here and there, which are basically for Germany COVID passport rules, you have to show that you have been vaccinated or that you've recovered from the disease. These restrictions thus affect a falling number of people who also have a comparatively easy means to get around them, namely get vaccinated. And as a result, I think the impact on restaurants, on consumption of services will remain fairly limited, well below what it was in the previous winter.
Holger, as we look across Europe, though, we're starting to see some various different approaches. I mean, here in the UK, the mask has effectively been ripped off, and we're still letting this virus just circulate as we learn to live with it. Quite in contrast to the Netherlands, which only really came out of lockdown for a couple of months and has gone back into it. What do we make of that situation then? Because we saw in Asia a very different approach by the Chinese, almost zero tolerance around COVID. Do you think we start to see a very different approach in Europe over winter, with some countries taking a stricter approach to the virus?
Well, we've always had that countries took different approaches to the virus. And interestingly, those countries which had the strictest approaches in the first wave of the virus in early 2020 are now the ones which are less affected, because to some extent, people have less resistance against measures such as get vaccinated or else. And we will probably see a bit more of those things. Most of the restrictions we are seeing and we're likely to see will be restrictions on the unvaccinated. And in the Netherlands, it's not quite a lockdown. It's sort of early closure of restaurants. It's not anywhere close to the harsh lockdowns we had in parts, especially of Southern Europe, in early 2020. It will remain a difference between sections, though, and countries.